For the third year in a row, Kentucky's League of Women Voters have released their findings over just how accessible the legislative process is to Kentucky citizens. League member Janie Lindell explains this report builds on the prior two, examining data in odd-numbered years when shorter sessions are held, and takes in new data from 2025.
It's very clear that the original findings in the first report about the 4 fast-track maneuvers are really undermining the opportunities for the public to participate the most.
Now, the maneuvers that she is referencing are procedural, like giving a bill some of its constitutionally required readings before it's heard by a committee, or holding floor votes on bills the same day they were approved by a committee, sometimes with entirely new language called a committee substitute. GOP leadership declined to comment on this report. Representative Lockett, I want to start the discussion with you here. The term she's using there, fast tracking, I know it's been debated amongst lawmakers before over whether that's an accurate representation of how y'all treat the legislative process. So how do you respond to that report?
Well, I would say this. I would say that we are, by and large, without a doubt, the most transparent General Assembly in Kentucky's history. You can always follow a bill online from filing to finish. You can see where it is. You can see when it's going to be heard in committee. You can see how many readings it's got on the House floor. And so to say that we are not transparent, I think we have to call that for what it is. That's political grandstanding. That's not accurate. That is not how we do business. And it's important to really notate that. Some of those moves that they are talking about and that she is talking about, those are moves that possibly, if a bill gets its readings, we have passed a bill in 3 days, such as funding for Eastern Kentucky floods. So things come up that have to go through quickly, but again, those can be watched and tracked.
Representative Roarx, let's let you weigh in here.
So I think when it comes to legislative transparency, there's always opportunities to be more transparent. And I think the League of Women Voters report really hits home on several issues. One, pre-filing of bills has gone away over the past several years. That makes it really hard for interested groups to be able to get ahead of the legislative session to know what we're going to be filing when we come back in for the session. Also, things like those committee subs where we're replacing sometimes the entire bill with new language, that can be really difficult for the public to follow. They're not going to get a printed copy like we do when we're in committee. And there's been times where I've been testifying on a bill that I'm a co-sponsor on and hadn't even seen that language before it was taking a vote in the Senate.
You know, whenever we go through the session, especially we go through these longer sessions, certainly from my experience covering the legislature, in the beginning part of the session, there doesn't really seem to be as much movement on some of these things. And then we get towards the end, and it seems like we kind of move through a crunch, and we kind of start moving a little bit quickly. Has there ever been sort of a discussion about if there's a shift in that sort of strategy, or is it just one of those things where like this is kind of a necessity of playing the game, so to speak?
I think it's important to realize that there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to passing legislation. There's the House side, there's the Senate side. Both of those have to come together. That takes time. Sometimes that takes a lot of negotiation between the two. And so that can sometimes cause that backlog at the end of session to really begin to get things through. And when you look at especially a 30-day session, that's not very long to begin to say, here's our discussion in the House. We're going to pass the bill. It goes to the Senate. Same discussion. Possible getting together, changing the bill, compromising. And so it doesn't lend itself to a lot of time to be able to do that. But again, I want to emphasize that whole entire process is visible. It's online. It's accessible. Anybody can come and watch. Anybody can see it. Anybody can track it online. And to say that it's not transparent is just absolutely false.
Representative Roarx?
I would say that things that are going to make it more difficult this legislative session, we will have an ongoing live stream in the new temporary chambers, but there is no public viewing gallery. So that in itself has created a lot of concern with the public. But at the same time, I will say as a legislator, I know that there is this continuous feed that is streaming at all times. So I think those were just decisions that needed to be made based on the Capitol renovations that needed to take place. But what is maybe more concerning is that a lot of times, especially with the budget bill, it comes up in the House very quickly. We haven't had a whole lot of time for the constituents to weigh in, and I'm reviewing it really fast. And so it goes over to the Senate a lot quicker before the public really has the opportunity to digest what's in that bill.
We definitely want to encourage everybody watching, if you're ever interested in the process, be sure to check out the LRC website or KET for that live stream.